Masiafa. Osofa City. Hello, so. No Masiafa. Osofa City. City. Hello, social. Hello, social. Hello, social. Hello, social. Wabizani fire brigade. Umli lolo. Wabizani fire brigade. Umli lolo. Imayibuye ingene Soweto. Umli lolo. Imayibuye ingene Soweto. Umli lolo. Wabizani fire brigade.
Wabizani fire brigade. Wabizani fire brigade. Wabizani fire brigade. Sankale labantwana bami. Sankale lezingane kha. Sankale labantwana bami. Sankale lezingane za. Zio, zio, zio mama zio. Uyangelandela umkhiphe khaventewa iyone. We baba noma uyangelandela iyone. We baba noma umkhiphe khavene iyone. Sambambuthewa nemato uyangelandela uyangelandela iyone. Sambambuthewa nemato uyangelandela uyangelandela. We mama noma we mama noma. We mama noma we mama noma. Sambambuthewa nemato uyangelandela uyangelandela. Sambambuthewa nemato uyangelandela uyangelandela. We mama noma umkhiphe khavene iyone. We mama noma we mama noma. We mama noma umkhiphe khavene iyone. Sambambuthewa nemato uyangelandela uyangelandela. Sambambuthewa nemato uyangelandela uyangelandela. Zio, zio, zio mama zio. Zio, zio, zio mama zio. Mina ngizolilwela Israela. Ngizolilwela bo. Mina ngizolilwela. Iyo, 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 iyo. Zwela, zwela mi, izwe, lwana likhola babula. Mina ngizolilwela bo. Zwela, zwela mi, izwe, lwana likhola babula. Ngizolilwela bo. Iyo, 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 iyo. Zwela, zwela mi, izwe, mina ngizolilwela bo. Mina ngizolilwela bo. Iyo, 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 iyo. Zwela, zwela mi, izwe, lwana likhola babula. Mina ngizolilwela bo. Iyo, 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 iyo. Zwela, zwela mi, izwe, lwana likhola babula. Mina ngizolilwela bo. Iyo, 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 iyo. Zwela mi, izwe, izwe lona yena mokhokho bethu engangizolilwela mo iyo zwelami izwelami lona elamo ngungunyana mina ngizolilwela mo iyo zwelami lona likhona babula mina ngizolilwela mo iyo Tiyo mama tiyo mama tiyo ngizovuke kuseni thengi petrol khisa amabhoni yo ha ekaba ngivuke kuseni donsi AK shaya amabhoni hayi kaba ayo iyo
Amandla. Viva Afrika Mayibuye, viva. Viva Afrika Mayibuye, viva. Viva Afrika Mayibuye, viva. Viva Afrika Mayibuye, viva. Ati yo awelele ma cho ati yo awelele ma cho Iso chindwe ngalale Iso chindwe ngalale Iso chindwe ngalale Iso chindwe ngalale Ati yo awelele ma Ati yo awelele ma Iso chindwe ngalale Iso chindwe ngalale Iso chindwe ngalale Iso chindwe ngalale Ngicela ucomrade ophethe mic angayibheki ne because iya distort so ungayibheki because izo distort siyazwana ngithi maqabana angithi siyazwana athi sizolilwela asilifumane Awa sizolilwela bo amami yo Zwelame izwelame sukuma obaliqala bathakathe Oba sizolilwela bo amami yo izwelame sukuma obaliqala babulale Oba sizolilwela bo amami yo izwela nginiswa izwelame awizwelame obaliqala bompempe abo sizolilwela bo amami yo izwelame obaliqala babulale abo sizolilwela bo amami yo izwelame liqala babulale sizolilwela bo amami yo izwelame chu liqala bathakathe sizolilwela bo amami yo izwelame ati tiyo mama tiyo mama tiyo obizani fire brigade obizani Obizani fire brigade. Obizani fire brigade. Okuyasha abantwana bami. Okuyasha abantwana bami. Okuyasha abantwana bami. Okuyasha bozingane zami. Obizani stima mlilo. Obizani stima mlilo. Obizani stima mlilo. Awo stima mlilo. Okuyasha zingane zami. Okuyasha zingane zami. Okuyasha zingane zami. Okuyasha bozingane zami. Okuyasha. Okuyasha. Okuyasha boya ya yo yo. Awo yo. Onyikale lizingane zami. Onyikale labantwana ba. Zabala zelizingane zami. Zabala zelizwela ge. Awubizani fire brigade.
Amanda.
Awumlilo. Chu.
Thank you. Amanda. Mayibuye. Afrika. Mayibuye. Afrika. I'm looking for Comrade Vusikoza. Can I get the literature we are waiting for from the media room? Comrades there, please. I'm looking for Comrade Vusikoza. We are about to kickstart the proceedings of the second day of Afrika Mayibuye Movement National Convention. I'm going to request that we all rise and sing the national anthem by Nkosi Sikelele Africa. Nkosi Sikelele Africa by Enoch Sontonga. It is going to be led by Comrade Vusikoza. Let us all rise, comrades, so that we kickstart the proceedings of the day.
Shall the male comrades take off their caps as we are about to sing the national anthem? Nkosi sikelele Afrika, maluphakanyisa udumo lwayo, izwa imithandazo yethu. Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo, woza moya, woza moya, woza moya, oh indwele. Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo, morena buluka setšhaba sa Yesu, o fedise dintwa le matshwenyego, o se boloke, o se boloke morena, setšhaba sa Yesu, setšhaba sa Afrika Mayibuye njalo Magube njalo kuthe kube ngunapha kade kuthe kube ngunapha kade amandla mayibuye.
Thank you very much, Comrade Vuskoza, for a revolutionary prayer. Nkosi Sikelele Africa by Enoch Sontonga. This is all our prayer that we need to internalize as Afrika Mayibuye movement. Comrade President, national officials, members of the core team, Council of Provinces of Council of Elders of Afrika Mayibuye movement, and all delegates present here today, welcome to this second session of the Afrika Mayibuye movement National Convention, which kick-started yesterday here at the University of Johannesburg, Soweto campus. Comrade President and all delegates, it is safe to say that all provinces who were still on the road yesterday, they have arrived safely, had a good night rest, they had their breakfast, and they are well refreshed and ready to come and do the work of Afrika Mayibuye movement. Yesterday, we did kickstart this 3-day session. We have taken messages of support from different movements within Afrika Mayibuye movement. We are continuing with that, but at the stage, we are concluding and respectfully calling upon the convener of Afrika Mayibuye Council of Elders, Khosi Mtimkhulu, to come and address us and give a message of support. Khosi Mtimkhulu, may you please respectfully ascend to the podium. Harimwemi Sengal Khofi. Thank you very much, comrades. May we please be seated to get the message of support, first from the Afrika Mayibuye medics. It's a medical component within Afrika Mayibuye who's crisscrossing this country and providing free medical health care to the people of South Africa who cannot afford health care. I'm now going to call to the podium Dr. Talente Biela, who's one of the youngest doctor and the president of the youngest doctors in South Africa. Dr. Biela.
Mandla awethu mandla Matimba. Yaina. Viva Afrika Mayibuye movement, viva. Viva Afrika Mayibuye movement, viva. Amandla. Wathinta abafazi. Wathinta imbokodo. Mandla. No, comrades, it's good afternoon now. My name is Talente Biela. Yeah, as introductions have been made, we're just going to quickly offer our support to obviously the Afrika Mayibuye movement in its inaugural national convention. Comrade, obviously the national officials as led by Comrade President Nego Floyd Jivambu, and inevitably the incoming president, whom we will boldly, loudly, proudly, unashamedly, unapologetically usher into the union buildings in 2029. Members of the NCT, religious and traditional leaders, honored guests and delegates. So today we gather here, Comrade President, to reaffirm our position and our allegiance to black people in particular, to the poor and the marginalized. We heed the clarion call for the total freedom and emancipation now. This is the inaugural Afrika Mayibuye National Convention, which marks the historic moment in the lives of ordinary South Africans. Our people came out, Comrade President, in their numbers across all 9 provinces, giving the leadership collective a clear, uncompromising mandate to go forth, build a movement that will usher in genuine freedom and genuine emancipation now. Comrade President, your leadership of Afrika Mayibuye comes at a decisive moment in our nation's history. A moment of deep frustration, deep longing, deep expectation amongst ordinary South Africans. You step into the leadership, Comrade President, at the time where our people are no longer patient. They can no longer wait. They can no longer tolerate another talk show president. They can no longer tolerate another empty promise, another commission of inquiry, another sloganeering dressed in pretense. Comrade President, you step in at a time where it's very critical. Over 2,100 children are giving birth between the ages of 10 to 14, robbed off of childhood, robbed off of safety. Comrade President, you come at a critical time where 31.9 South Africans remain unemployed. Comrade President, you come at a critical time where people over the ages of 35 are systematically pushed out of economic participation simply because of their age. Comrade President, you come again at a critical time where millions survive on 350 grants, pacified instead of empowered by sustainable jobs. Comrade President, you come in at a time where health professionals are exhausted, they're overworked, they're underpaid, they're overlooked, they're unappreciated. Comrade President, billions that are meant for public hospitals are looted while the poor continue to suffer. Comrade President, you come at a critical time where the EPW workers are kept temporary when they should be made permanent. You come in at a time where domestic workers still cannot afford dignified housing for their children. You come at a critical time where farm workers continue to enjoy harsh working conditions, a modern form of secondary degree slavery. Comrade President, you come at a critical time where mine workers are suffocating, both literally and figuratively. Comrade President, you come in at a time where street vendors remain unprotected, surviving day by day without security. You come in where township economy has been hijacked, sold off to the highest bidders. Comrade President, you come in where comrades now are gagged when we try to speak about the ocean's economy and minerals wealth that leave our shores every day without compromise and without changing the lives of ordinary South Africans. Comrade President, your leadership comes in at the time where millions of South African and women face daily abuse while their justice system is repeatedly failing them. Comrade President, you come in at a time where the degrees of millions of young South Africans are gathering dust in the corridors of universities. Comrade President, you come in at a time where education is commodified and unequal in as far as the socio-economic status is concerned. President, you come in at a time where socio-economic status determines the type of quality healthcare you are going to get. Comrade President, you come in at a time where connections and not competence determines who gets the job opportunity. Comrade President, you come in at a time where criminal syndicates operate with impunity. The people of Hammanskraal, President, are still suffering the same water crisis. Comrade President, you come in at a time where mayors are now clapping hands for delivering water tanks instead of providing permanent water solutions. Comrade President, you come in at a critical time where the kings and queens of where our kings and queens are dispossessed of their land, they are disrespected, their authority is undermined, and their power is usurped. Comrade President, but there's something that we wish to tell you. Comrade President, we came here today with one purpose, to remind you and the organization that you are the man called for such time as this. You are academically grounded, you are politically sober, you are logically superior, you are ideologically clear. So, Comrade President, we could not have chosen a better candidate to lead this movement and ultimately to lead South Africa. Comrade President, as you prepare to wage the war against inequality, as we gear up for the local government elections that we will take over in 2026 and subsequently take over government at national level in 2029, our message, Comrade President, to you is clear. We offer you this message. Approach with boldness, Comrade President. Confront without fear, because I have a message that the people have sent me to tell you, President. The mine workers are saying yes. The students are saying yes. The students are saying we're ready. The professionals are saying we are with you. The domestic workers are waiting in anticipation. The youth is saying march on. The security guards are saying press on. The elderly are saying let's do it in our lifetime. The traditional leaders are saying we're not going to apologize. The healers are saying right now. The South Africans are saying we can no longer wait. Comrade President, press forward. The time is now. And all of us were saying right now, total freedom and emancipation now. Mandla! Away to Mandla! Away to Mayibuye! Afrika! Mayibuye! Afrika! Mandla!
Thank you very much, Dr. Talente Biela. She's a young doctor who represents Amatu junior doctors in South Africa. And she's the president of that union. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you for such a powerful message of support. Indeed, our people throughout South Africa will receive proper and quality-free health care. Thank you. I'm now going to call upon to the podium the convener of Afrika Mayibuye Council of Elders, Khosi Mtimkulu, to come and address us. Respectfully, Khosi.
Thank you very much. See you afterwards. Viva Afrika Mayibuye movement, viva. Viva Afrika Mayibuye movement, viva. This doctor was here. Hey, he spoke very well. And I've been... So I was wondering, and yet it's short. But what he was saying here, his substance is very well. Comrade, I want to greet you as a king of the Tshube nation. Viva, comrade, viva. Viva, comrade, viva. Viva for next election, viva. I want to greet the royals. The royals that I'm having here, they're coming from different provinces. They work with me in my office. I greet you all the royalties, I greet them. I want to greet my son and the president of Afrika Mayibuye movement, Floyd Shivambo. As from today, I'm no longer going to call him Floyd Shivambo. I will call him President. I want to give him my hand. You mustn't stand. Just, I want to give you a hand. Oh, you want to come this side? Yeah, you must come this side so that I can bless you. Viva Afrika Mayibuye, viva! Viva Afrika Mayibuye, viva! Thank you very much, my president. You are now a president of this country. We are taking over now. Viva Mayibuye, viva! I am blessing you as a king. You are going to lead this country. You are going to take over next year elections, and we are going to take over 2029 elections. You are blessed. Thank you very much. Take a seat. Viva Mayibuye, viva! There's a song I want to sing so that I can see you guys who can sing. This song, it talks about our land as Amakhosi. You know, Ithi lelizwe elamakhosi. I will see you when you stand, then I will realize you understand what you are singing about. Lelizwe elamakhosi. Asoze laphela mandla, asoze la. Lelizwe elamakhosi. Come on. You can take over. Asoze saphela mandla. Huh? Thank you very much. Lelizwe elethu thina makhosi. Afrika Mayibuye movement. They're going to fight for us. We are going to get back our land. That is why we are supporting this organization. And we will support this organization, all of us, because it's a true organization. Therefore, as we gathered here, not just to launch a movement, but to ignite a new chapter in the story of our continent. Afrika Mayibuye, let Africa come back, is more than a slogan. It's a call to restore dignity, opportunity, and justice for our people. That is Afrika Mayibuye movement. For too long, African has been told to wait their turn. For too long, we have watched our wealthy benefit others, while our children inherit struggle. Today, we answer that history with courage. Today, we say our turn is now. Our freedom is right now. This movement is not built on anger, but on purpose. Not on empty promises, but on accountability. There will be no corruption in this organization. There will be no all these commissions that are going around. I've seen people that have gone to the commission this morning. One of the witnesses, they've gunned him down. It's very sad. But that is why we're standing together on this Afrika Mayibuye movement, to finish all that nonsense. There will be no Madlanga Commission here. Sorry. Yes. Not on empty promises, but on accountability, not on division, but on unity. A unity rooted on our diversity and as Africans. And as we build this unity, we must honor the pillar of heritage, our traditional leaders. Let it be known clearly, the president of Afrika Mayibuye movement, Floyd Shivambo, which is president now, holds a deep respect for the institution of traditional leadership. I respect my president. Not a decoration, not as a ceremonial foothold, but as a custodian of culture, identity, land, and community. That's what he does. Traditional leaders have long been the guidance of Africa government before the word government existed. They carried wisdom before universities, stability before the constitutions, and justice before courts. That is traditional leaders. And as the movement moves forward, it will not sideline us. It will walk with us. But let us be clear, dream alone do not build nations. It will take discipline, sacrifice, and relentless work without failure. I will take leaders who remember that power is not a throne, it's a responsibility to serve. We must build an economy that rewards innovation, empowers small business, and protect the poor. We must build communities where young people are not begging for opportunities, but creating them. This is your time now, ladies and gentlemen. Young comrade, it's your time. It's your opportunity to start that. We must build our future where politics is defined not by ethnicity or patronage, but by vision, integrity, and performance. So today, I ask each of you, will you be part of this, of the generation that speaks about change or the generation that deliver it? Will you be voice of complaint or architect of hope? I hope you are an architect of hope. So let us rise with conviction. Let us unify with purpose. Let us build with courage, and let the world witness the rebirth of continent as we are moving forward under Afrika Mayibuye movement. Thank you very much. I want to see you guys moving forward with that and courage. We are going to revive all our kingdoms, all our monarchs, through our people that are here. The executive that is here, they are going to do a great job. So I'm glad that the President, Flo Shivambo, he had to sit down with us and discuss the way forward. That is why we are part of Afrika Mayibuye. I am happy that Flo Shivambo is going to give us power and that dignity that was taken by Dr. Verwoerd in 1960. That was 5 October. When they start to bring Republic of South Africa, they stopped monarchs. They made a referendum that British must now come to an end with what we call kingdoms. But today, we are going to revive that through President Flo Shivambo. Thank you very much. It was a great day. We are going to continue to move forward with this organization, and we still have another day tomorrow. Thank you so much. I love you all.
Re a leboga Kgosi Mthimkhulu, who's also the convener of the Council of Elders of Afrika Mayibuye movement. Comrades, on the 19th of June, when all people from all walks of life, from different backgrounds, came here to Johannesburg to speak to one of the greatest minds of our time, they all agreed to hold his hand. They all agreed one common goal, and what stood tall amongst all the deliberations was the fact that we need to go and consult our kingdoms, religious leaders, and all sectors of society in South Africa to ask the question on what is to be done. A great leader of our time did not look at the circumstances at the time and said he can do it alone. He said, let us hold each other's hand and make sure that the respect that our people are deserving is brought back to us. He made sure that not even one single province is being skipped at the time where we did not even have a cent in our pocket as Afrika Mayibuye consultative process leaders. He made sure that even when he gets to those provinces, he consults each and every leader, each and every sector of society, and listens to them. And went as far as speaking to ordinary people on the street and wanting to understand what is it that we need to do differently as a consultation process at the time. And after formalizing Afrika Mayibuye movement as a political movement, we are here, gathered here, in culminating all these activities in a form of a convention called Afrika Mayibuye Convention. And that leader took us here, brought us here, with all the difficulties that we are facing. Help me welcome to the podium the leader and president of Afrika Mayibuye movement, Comrade Nico Shivambu.
Mayibuye. 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 Afrika. Afrika. Viva Afrika Mayibuye movement. Viva. Long live Afrika Mayibuye movement. Long live. Forward to total freedom and emancipation now. Forward. Amanda. Away. Two. Thank you very much, National Chairperson of Afrika Mayibuye movement, Comrade Mabato Mukause. Comrades, delegates, we salute the leadership of Afrika Mayibuye movement, the national core team, majority of whom were part of this NCT when it was still the national consultation team in the consultation process. We also want to acknowledge and recognize the provincial, regional, and sub-regional core teams that have since been constituted from the consultation process since the 5th of September, when we made an announcement of the formation of Afrika Mayibuye movement as a movement and as a political party. We also want to take this opportunity to extend our deepest gratitude to the traditional leadership who are custodians of our ancestral wisdom, custodians of our land, despite the fact that large portions of the land has been taken away from the custodianship of the traditional leadership. We want to take this opportunity to greet the religious leaders who inspire our moral strength in the struggle. We take this opportunity to greet the delegation and membership of Mayibuye Women's Movement, the leadership and delegation of Mayibuye Youth Movement, of Mayibuye Students Movement, of Mayibuye Medics, and all the formations that associate with Afrika Mayibuye movement. We greet all the guests that have joined us today here in the first National Convention of Afrika Mayibuye movement. We take the opportunity to greet and salute the people of South Africa, Africans in the continent and Africans in the diaspora. We are deeply humbled. First National Convention has been attended by delegations from all the 53 districts of South Africa, representing members and communities from all corners of South Africa. In terms of demarcation of the Municipal Demarcation Board, South Africa has got 53 districts. That includes district municipalities and metropolitan municipalities, but in Afrika Mayibuye movement, we have 54 regions, because instead of 3 regions, instead of the 3 demarcated districts of Mpumalanga, we have recognized the municipalities of Tawachewu and Bushbuck Ridge as Bohlabela region. We are gathered here Thank you very much, because I realized that we were speaking from a working microphone and I was handed over a one which was not properly functional. Comrades, delegates, were gathered here in the southwestern townships of Johannesburg, Soweto. So the southwestern townships of Soweto, of Johannesburg, that is what Soweto means, which is an important territory in the fight for total liberation and freedom from colonial and apartheid rule. This sacred ground pulses with the blood of our ancestors and the unyielding spirit of resistance that has defined our people's quest for dignity. Soweto stands as a beacon of defiance, where the oppressed rose against the chains of dispossession and racial tyranny. We gather here to reaffirm that Soweto's legacy demands action now and not empty tributes. Comrades, let this national conversion ignite the flames of total freedom inspired by the undefeatable commitment born in these very streets of Soweto. Soweto's history is a testament to the unbreakable resolve of our people against colonial conquest and apartheid brutality. We draw from this rich tapestry, educating our people on how Soweto struggles intersect with broader African liberation. Today, as Afrika Mayibuye movement, we agitate for the completion of this unfinished revolution, ensuring that Soweto's pain fuels our push for total political, economic, social, cultural freedom and decolonization now. Throughout the years, Soweto became a fortress of resistance during the states of emergency with rent boycotts, consumer boycotts, and civic associations like the Soweto Civic Association leading the charge. These actions crippled the regime's local governance, demonstrating the power of organized communities. We build hope from these victories, reminding our people that Soweto's resilience contributed to the demise of political apartheid. Soweto's resilience contributed to the demise and end of political apartheid. We make that observation because economic apartheid has not ended. Soweto continues to inspire our forward march, embodying the principles of Ubuntu and collective prosperity that underpin our Restoration Manifesto. Soweto teaches us that true change comes from below, from the working class masses who refuse to bow. As we gather, let Soweto spirit propel us towards a liberated future, where our people control their destiny and are not stuck in the nostalgia of the past. We as Afrika Mayibuye movement rise from Soweto's ashes, building a movement that honors the past whilst seizing the future. These grounds of the southwestern townships of Johannesburg is where James Sofasonke Mpanza established Orlando through the land occupation in the period of late 1930s and early 1940s. So James Sofasonke Mpanza is known as Magebula, is the one who started Orlando Happy Boys, which was renamed Orlando Pirates Football Club in 1939. So his name is Magebula. That is why Orlando Pirates is known as Ezika Magebula. So we are paying tribute to James Sofasonke Mpanza, who was a leader of Sofasonke Party. If it were not of his courage, these southwestern townships would have not been formalized as proper and relatively better residential spaces in South Africa. We want to also acknowledge that it is here in the southwestern townships of South Africa where the discussions on the formation of the Congress Youth League took place in the 1940s, inspiring the generation that set as its generational mission freedom in our lifetime. The generation of Anton Muziwake Lambede, of Congress Mbata, of Nelson Mandela, of Oliver Tambo, of Walter Sisulu. That is a generation which in the 1940s said freedom in our lifetime, and that is the generation that has led South Africa to political freedom, because we have not yet achieved total freedom in South Africa. It is here in Soweto where the Freedom Charter was adopted on the 26th of June 1955, 70 years ago. It is here in Soweto where the people of South Africa said that the mineral wealth beneath the soil, the banks, and monopoly industries shall be transferred to the ownership of the people as a whole. It is also here in Soweto where the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania was founded by one of the most outstanding revolutionaries, Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe, in 1959. Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe was the most feared leader in the struggle against white minority domination and apartheid in South Africa. It is here in Soweto where the June 16 uprising happened in 1976, when students rose against Bantu education. Comrades, you must pay attention that the June 16 uprising did not just end with the uprising only, it escalated to many other uprisings in many parts of the South African territory. As a result, the white capitalist establishment's consideration of a future South Africa without apartheid happened after the June 16 uprising. So the youth of Soweto played an important role in shaping the transition from apartheid to what we currently have. It is here in Soweto where the Congress of South African Students coordinated militant actions in the 1980s with different congresses. Comrades, Soweto is the home of many heroes and heroines of our struggle. It is the home of Hector Peterson, who was killed by police on the 16th of June. It is the home of Nomzamo Winnie Madikizela Mandela, who from the 1960s onwards actively resisted apartheid through underground networks and community organizing, whilst many of the political leaders were either imprisoned or in exile. Soweto is also the home of Mbuyisa Makubo, who in 1976 carried the dying body of Hector Peterson and later on got to disappear. Soweto is also the home of Khotso Seahlulu. Khotso Seahlulu was a deputy president to Tsietsi Mashinini of the Soweto Students Representative Council. And after many of the June 16 generation went to exile, to either join APLA or Mkhonto Wesizwe, the Liberation Army, Khotso Seahlulu said he will not associate with any of the two liberation armies, and instead started, even before the age of 22, the South African Youth Revolutionary Council, which was the armed wing of the militant Black consciousness movement that ignited the June 16 uprising. Soweto is, of course, the home of Tsietsi Mashinini, who was the president of the Soweto Student Representative Council and the one who presided over planning for the June 16 uprising. Soweto is also the home of President Nelson Mandela, who stayed in Vilakazi Street here in Orlando. And despite some of the strategic retreats and compromises that happened when he was out and in prison, President Mandela played an important role in the struggle against apartheid and colonialism, and he was the first trained soldier and combatant of Umkhonto we Sizwe, the Liberation Army. Soweto is also the home of Archbishop Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop who stayed in Vilakazi Street as well, was a General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches and rallied all the faith-based organizations here in South Africa, in the African continent, and in the world to resist apartheid. So, Chaplain General, the leadership of the church has played a very important role in the struggles against apartheid. And that was signified and symbolized by the role that Archbishop Desmond Tutu played. Soweto is also the home of Petrus Linda Jabani, the Lion of Shawela, who was a militant combatant, was fearless of the apartheid regime. It is the home of Albertina Sisulu, who was the founder and co-president of the United Democratic Front, the UDF, which was founded in 1983 and was able to agitate and mobilize the people of South Africa when all the other political parties were banned and exiled. And UDF's organizational model, under the leadership of Mama Albertina Sisulu, was such that there were so many affiliate organizations, more than 400 organizations were part of the UDF as a movement. So you would have different congresses and different organizations that belong to the UDF as a mobilizing instrument in the fight against apartheid. Soweto is also the home of Lilian Ngoyi. Lilian Ngoyi was part of those that organized the anti-pass march, which is now celebrated as Women's Day in South Africa. Soweto is also the home of Richard Maponya, who from the 1950s lived in Soweto and built a retail empire despite apartheid restrictions. And later on, of course, was honored by the mall which is down the road from where we are. Soweto is also the home of Sam Matsunyane, who in 1964 founded NAFCOC and is the one that founded the African Bank to empower black people. So here in Soweto, we have illustrious leaders that have played an important role. Delegates who are mentioning all these events and historical activities to say and demonstrate that we are gathering on sacred grounds and that this national convention which we are convening here in Soweto will go down in history as one of the most important gatherings in the history of South Africa. Comrades, from the outset, when we're all still in full attention, let us state as to what just becomes the reason why you are here. Let us, all of us, understand what is the end goal of Afrika Mayibuye movement. When we have achieved what we are going to discuss here, what is the ideal end goal? We, of course, all of us are going to shape the perspective as to what should be the end goal. My contribution is that Afrika Mayibuye movement must produce and empower selfless, politically conscious, and empowered leaders on the ground who are politically, economically, culturally, religiously educated, who understand our people. And all of us, comrades, we should appreciate that political education or political consciousness is not the ability to recite and quote huge phrases and words. Political education and understanding is the ability to know and understand one's surrounding and to develop clear and superior alternatives. Now, the most important thing, even if you can quote Das Kapital from volume 1 to volume 3, but if you do not understand the conditions of the people, such is meaningless. The leadership that Afrika Mayibuye movement must produce must be able to understand their surroundings and every little thing that exists where they stay. If you are a leader of Afrika Mayibuye movement in a municipality, you must know everything else about that municipality. You must also have a clear vision as to what are you going to do differently if the people of that municipality were to give you political power. That is the principle that all of us should have. The other vision, comrades, which all of us must live here with a full appreciation and understanding of, is that we should establish Afrika Mayibuye movement in all the voting districts of South Africa. We currently have 23,000 voting districts in South Africa. In each and every voting district, there must be leadership structure of Afrika Mayibuye movement. And that is not impossible, because today is the 6th of December 2025. We began this process on the 19th of June 2025. And in less than 6 months, our organization was able to find resonance in all corners of South Africa. So, comrades, if there is, and we must never underestimate the impact and the progress that we have made thus far. There are very few organizations in South Africa that can convene a national meeting that is attended by delegates from all the 53 districts of South Africa. If we were to try to count, you won't finish it in one hand in terms of counting the number of organizations that can convene a respectable and decent national meeting. And Afrika Mayibuye movement in less than 6 months has been able to convene a conference of people that we know, of people that have been identified as leaders of all the 205 local municipalities, 44 districts, and 8 metropolitan municipalities. Our organization, comrades, must exist in all the wards of South Africa. So all the 4,668 wards of South Africa must have a leadership structure of Afrika Mayibuye movement and membership that is involved in the programs and activities that seek to empower our people. The branches of Afrika Mayibuye movement at VD level, at ward level, must be one with all the organized formations where they exist. You can't say you have got a branch and branch leadership of Afrika Mayibuye movement, and then there are large religious institutions and churches in that ward or in that VD, and there's not a single person from the church who is in the leadership of Afrika Mayibuye movement at the base level. It must be because our organization must be a true representative of the people of South Africa. And you can't impose yourself on society without the people who are supposed to lead themselves to total liberation. And that principle applies to the institution of traditional leadership as well. We'll talk about that in detail. Comrades, our aspiration and vision as Afrika Mayibuye movement is to lead a society where land ownership reflects the demographics of South Africa. If black people are 80% of South Africa's population, they must own a minimum of 80% of South Africa's land. It's as simple as that. But currently, 80% of the land is in the hands and ownership and control of the descendants of colonial settlers, which says that we are still a conquered and defeated people. Because colonial conquest meant that they take the land from us. The generations that came before us fought for the reclamation of the land, and that war is still not won. That is why we speak about the return and restoration of Africa's land to Africans. Mayibuye Africa means essentially that the land must be returned to the ownership and control of the majority of the people. Our vision includes leading massive industrial development which will change the neo-colonial character of South Africa's economy. So colonialism was not just because the colonial settlers were on holiday and they were just going to look for other lands for narrow and hollow purposes. They wanted to position colonial settlements as suppliers of raw materials, of gold, of platinum group metals, of coal, of all the industrial and precious energy minerals and metals. And that relationship between the entire African continent and the erstwhile colonial masters has not changed. And Afrika Mayibuye movement exists to change that neo-colonial relationship between the former colonizers or the current neo-colonizers and the entire African continent. And that can only be done through proper organization and mobilization of our people. The other vision, comrades, which we must boldly state is that we as Afrika Mayibuye movement should promote black economic solidarity, which means that the little resources and wages and grants that we gain access to must be used to empower other black people. Because as things stand, we spend majority of our incomes as black people giving it back to the colonial descendants. All of us, we even take pride that we are going to buy overpriced vegetables from Woolworth, from ShopRite, from Pick and Pay, when we have got our mothers who are selling the similar product down the road. We, as Mayibuye, should promote the spirit of black economic solidarity. We can say and say without an inch of doubt that the collective upliftment of many other population groups happened due to economic solidarity amongst themselves. The white population in South Africa empowered each other. After establishment of the Commission of Inquiry into White Poverty, part of the recommendations of that Commission of Inquiry into White Poverty back in 1929 was that they must support each other. And that is still the case today. And how do you see that? Even if you can build the most beautiful restaurants in white people's areas, once they discover that it's owned by a black person, they will never go there. Even if you can have the most lucrative of better alternate solutions on any sector, they will never support you. But they circulate money amongst themselves. It is the same principle that also applies to those whose origin is India. All of us know that if you want to buy something, if they don't have immediately, they will call the friend that my friend is going to bring it to you. You will never see anywhere where money and wages is spent on other people except themselves. But from us as black people, the resources and the money that we have is one-way traffic. To white people, to Pakistani spaza shops, to all sorts of things. We don't empower each other. Our anecdotal estimation is that out of wages, salaries, and social grants, and businesses, and whatever we get involved in, we currently in South Africa collectively gain access to more than R1 trillion every 12 months. But I can tell you now that if you were to read the financial movements, almost all of that money goes back to those who own and control our economy, whilst there is space to could empower each other. So black economic solidarity should be a principle that should guide all of us. That is why when we came here in Soweto, we said that we cannot go and buy anything for this conference other than from people who look like us. It's only in instances where we couldn't get people who look like us, where we could buy something from people who do not look like us. And that is the principle that we must sustain everywhere. As a black person, you must be ashamed that you spend the entirety of your salary without buying anything from a black person. It must be shameful that you spend and you even become proud that I'm shopping in Senten and spending all your resources on people that are not going to empower your neighbors and the people that you live with. We need, as a generation here in South Africa, starting here from South Africa and promoting it in the entire African continent and in the African diaspora. Because you find very renowned celebrities, black Americans, taking pride that they are wearing clothing items from Italy, of Italians. And they think that is status, that is the symbol of success by promoting Italians. Whilst amongst themselves, if they were to identify an entrepreneur somewhere to say, let us promote whatever you are producing as clothes, as shoes, as watches, then everyone else will pay attention and begin to give support to that. So black economic solidarity must be promoted here in South Africa and the African continent and in the African diaspora. Comrades, we also aspire as Afrika Mayibuye movement to contribute to the development of the entire African economy and continent. We have said several times, and we will continue to repeat it, that illegal immigration will not be contained as long as the African continent remains in a state of poverty and underdevelopment. We as Afrika Mayibuye movement, we do not agree, we will never promote illegal immigration. We will never agree that people who are not documented must just come in and out. We will never associate with views that people must find creative ways to come into South Africa. We, however, must all appreciate as revolutionaries, as Pan-Africanists, that we have got an obligation to coordinate the development of the African economy. We should care in our planning when we take government. Nkosim Tumkulu says that I'm president of the country now. I think I must report union buildings on Monday. When we are planning on basic things, there has to be sub-regional coordination of what you want to do. I'll give a simple example that South Africa has got a national transmission company, which is part of the Eskom holdings, because they've broken Eskom into 3 companies. They are about to build more than 20,000 kilometers of new transmission lines, of these high voltage transmission lines. But all of those 20,000 kilometers are all going to be here in South Africa. We should coordinate and put resources together and think as to how do we put transmission lines in the entire neighborhood, including in Mozambique, including in Zimbabwe, in Namibia, in Swaziland, in Lesotho. And that is basic logic. Those countries will not be able to develop and look after their people if there's no electricity, basic electricity. They will not be able to extract their mineral resources and beneficiate them if there's no basic electricity. Why is it that on basic infrastructure, can't we coordinate a common program? The other basic thing is coordination of transport logistics in the entire African continent. The same problem that we are experiencing and speaking about on black economic solidarity happens at country level. Majority of African countries have got China or the United States of America or Europe as their biggest trading partners, and not other African countries. They spend billions and billions of dollars of money that is earned out of the blood and sweat of our fellow Africans sending to Europe. Why? Because we do not have infrastructure to interconnect the continent for common prosperity and progress. And comrades, politically, we must be able to speak about the collective common development of the African economy so that we can all achieve common prosperity. Comrades, our vision includes the fact that we should create full employment in South Africa where everyone has got a job. Everyone who needs a job must have a job, irrespective of age. If a person can work, they must be given a decent job. And there are so many economic activities and programs which we can initiate and support to give proper employment to the people of South Africa. One of those basic, easy, low-hanging fruits is the food economy. The food economy in any country is the largest economic sector. Because here in South Africa, for instance, the 63 million of us must have food every day. And the food economy includes and involves everything from the tractors that must farm the land, the seeds, the packaging of the food, the transportation, the retail is the largest sector of any economy. But what is happening now, we go outside to go and import food into South Africa. If we're to have a clear developmental agenda, we can empower a lot of people from the food economy sector. Those who have paid detailed attention on what led to the rapid industrial development of the People's Republic of China was first the political and ideological commitment, a vision that says, let us feed ourselves. And in the process of achieving feeding themselves, there were so many other industries that got to develop, and China became one of the most successful, and is the most successful country in the world as we speak. Comrades, we gather here in Soweto and affirming our character as a movement to say Afrika Mayibuye movement is a liberation movement in the 21st century. And we are a liberation movement in the 21st century which was founded by the people of South Africa after one of the most deepest and widest consultation process that covered all the provinces of South Africa. The people of South Africa have no doubt been the voice that inspired the formation of Afrika Mayibuye movement. We are the only organization that was founded by the people of South Africa. We were not founded in boardrooms or in secret rooms and corner meetings. The most important thing which we want to highlight and speak about as to just what happened after the consultation process, we derived a lot of lessons. Part of the lessons which we must internalize and keep to heart as members and leaders of Mayibuye is that our people want to be listened to. Throughout our consultation process, majority of the people that we got to interact with said that they have never had a platform before where they had to say and had a say as to what is to be done moving forward. Because political parties don't even consult the people, even when they're drafting the manifestos of those people. They just go and say, vote for us, this is what we're going to do for you. And then they say the vote is the voice, and the vote in the current context is not a voice. Because you just go and cast a ballot, and from there on there is no one who comes and asks you as to what do we do moving forward. The other lesson that we got from the consultation process is that many of our people have expressed frustrations with rhetoric and false promises. In many occasions, they said to us that despite an electoral promise, what are you going to do as Afrika Mayibuye now? That is the principle that we got to hear. They say, we don't want another political party. Tell us, what can you do now? We do not want promises. And that is why Afrika Mayibuye movement is founded and formed in the manner that it is. That we are not just any other political party. We are different from the rest of these political parties. The other lesson that we got from our consultations is that our people have got deep knowledge and understanding on what is to be done. You do not need to go and hire experts from universities and from outside of South Africa to tell you what is the best economic model for our areas. The 60 days that we back to back were in consultation was a masterclass on how to respond to the developmental challenges of our localities. Because our people know what is to be done, they know what are the issues that have to be attended to. The other lesson that we learned, comrades, is that they said these consultations that you are doing now must not be, you are doing it to form a political party and then you are going to disappear from us. The people said, we are giving you a mandate to go and found a party, but your character and nature must be such that every time you want to take major decisions, every time you want to move forward, you must come back to us. We will be able to update you and guide you as to what is to be done. So all of us as leaders and members of Afrika Mayibuye movement must know that we cannot spend long periods of time without going to the ground to speak to the people. The other lesson that we learned in that process was that even when it's a noble intention, our people do not associate with, they do not appreciate top-down solutions. Our people want to be involved in coming up with solutions and then see the progress that is made out of their own contributions. They know what is priority and what is not priority in terms of the issues. From the people of the Eastern Cape, we heard very clearly that the land must return to our people. From the Free State, we heard very clearly that the mining profits must benefit workers and not foreign capitalists who drain our wealth. The Free State consultation was very emphatic that let us create space for small-scale participation in mining activities. And that is not zama-zama. It can be correct that we have got mineral-rich areas with platinum group metals with gold, but our people are not allowed to benefit out of those minerals. There has to be proper promotion of artisanal mining in all corners of South Africa. Our people must benefit immediately from the mineral resources. And comrades, all the structures of Afrika Mayibuye movement in the mining communities must not rule out the possibilities of developing programs to stop the multinational companies from mining in demand of benefits from the mining companies. Because we are fighting for total freedom and emancipation now. When we speak about all these issues, the leadership of Mpumalanga, the leadership of Northern Cape, the leadership of Northwest, the leadership of the Free State, the leadership of Gauteng, the leadership of Limpopo and Sekhukhune must think as to what do we do to benefit from the mines now? And not just say we are going to be municipality and then 2029, it's only then that will fix a road which is being destroyed by the trucks from the mining areas. Through proper mobilization and organizing, we must demand the benefit from all these exploitative mining companies, particularly the multinational companies. There has to be a political program that demands that we want to benefit now and not tomorrow. We are hungry now, we're not hungry tomorrow. And it's permissible for us to demand what rightfully belongs to us. We have heard from the people of KwaZulu-Natal that all forms of violence must end. There is a lot of unnecessary political violence in the province of KwaZulu-Natal because of competition for resources. The nature of the violence is mostly for councillor positions. It's mostly for those who want to defend to remain as mayors so that they can steal government resources. But if there was proper economic benefits for everyone, there was never going to be any violence. If everyone else had access to proper economic resources, there was never going to be any political violence. The Northern Cape demanded that the mineral wealth must benefit the people of the Northern Cape. In the Western Cape, they cry for balanced allocation of human settlement spaces because despite the lies and the propaganda of the Democratic Alliance, Cape Town, the Western Cape, experiences one of the worst forms of peri-urban poverty. If you go to the informal settlements of the Western Cape, you'll find very old people staying in shacks with no running water, with no electricity, with no toilets, up to this day. But they will use propaganda to say wherever DA governs, they are governing better. When our people are living in deep poverty in all those areas. Now, comrades, all these inputs then is what led us to total freedom and emancipation now as a clarion call of our movement. And this total freedom and emancipation now means that we must fight for total political freedom. We must fight for total economic freedom. We must fight for total cultural freedom and decolonization. That we must build a progressive developmental state, and that we must be a caring organization that responds to the interest of the people now. We do not have total political freedom in South Africa. Even after 1994, those that occupy political power, they do so under the control of the white capitalist establishment. There are certain decisions that they cannot take. If you listen to what they say is the reason not to redistribute the land, they will say the investors will not agree. It's not like there is a black person here in South Africa who refuses that we must give land to our people. But they are not allowed by their masters, by their handlers, to take such decisions. So we need to gain total political freedom. We need to gain total economic freedom and emancipation, which means total economic sovereignty and power to own, control, and direct economic and natural resources, particularly the land, mineral resources, marine resources, for the full benefit of the people of South Africa, while ensuring meaningful and mutually beneficial economic and trade relationship with the rest of the world. Total economic freedom and emancipation means that we must dismantle the monopolies and oligopolies in all strategic sectors of the economy. Total economic freedom and emancipation means that we must industrialize and localize that industrialization. Because as we said earlier, we are still a colonial economy which primarily produces raw and semi-processed goods and products. We need to build internal capacity to manufacture and produce our own goods and products. There must be capacity that must be built to manufacture and produce cars in South Africa. There is no car that is produced in South Africa currently. They are just assembled here. We must be able to produce made in South Africa electronic products like phones and computers. We must be able to produce our own things. Currently, all of us are consumers of what comes from outside. We import almost everything, and that should come to an end. The other principle, comrades, is that we are fighting for total cultural freedom and decolonization. You know, our appreciation of the institution of traditional leadership and royalties in South Africa is not an elections gimmick. We are not doing that because we are trying to win votes. It's a principal issue which we appreciate, and we appreciate because we have had very deep interactions with traditional leaders in all corners of South Africa. We have had interaction with Hosi Mahonisi of Mahonisi Tribal Authority in Collins, Chaban. We have had interaction with Hosi Shilungwa Minga of the Minga dynasty in Collins, Chaban, who has got elaborate plans of what should be done in the Kruger National Park, particularly converting of the landing strip that was owned by the Department of Defense into an international airport, thereby attracting tourists and economic activities that will benefit the people. We constantly have interaction with Osima Donsi, who is also the sub-regional chairperson of Afrika Mayibuye in Collins Chabani municipality. We have constant interaction with Hosi Magona, who is the deputy chairperson of Afrika Mayibuye in Limpopo province. We have constant interaction with Hosi Mike Matebe, who is our provincial chairperson in the province of Limpopo. When we have proper representation of traditional leadership in all our leadership structures. When we were in the Free State, we had benefited a lot from the female king, Gaboililwe Moroka of Barolong Basileka in Tabanchu. We even gave us exposure to the Invest Rural Strategy, which is one of the most comprehensive plans on how rural development must be pursued. We have had and we constantly have interactions with Hosi Mkwena or of Matibela Tribal Authority in Bushbuck Ridge. Hosi Mkwena is the president of Contralesa, and he has got one of the most dynamic tribal authorities which we had very deep interaction with and received guidance from. We of course have constant interaction with Inkosim Tumkulu, the chairperson of our Council of Elders, who spoke here and proclaimed the future as to how we're going to move forward. And when you listen to Hosim Tumkulu, he has got elaborate plans as to how do we benefit the custodians of the land, the traditional leadership here in South Africa, and how do we build relations with other parts of the African continent. We have had and we continue to have constant interaction with Inkosi Mthethwa in Mandeni, in Ilembe district in KwaZulu-Natal. We have constant interaction with Inkosi Malusi Zondi Kabambata, who is also the president of the Black Business Forum and was recently appointed as the Chancellor of the Zulu Nation. Very straightforward and forward-thinking traditional leader, royal leader who knows what he stands for and what principles must be protected. Doesn't compromise, is always consistent on all the issues that he speaks about. We have had interactions constantly with Kosikuru Tony Ramaburana, the king of the Venda Nation, who has got elaborate ideas on what should be done to develop the people of Tulamela, the people of Makado, of Musina, of all the areas where he oversees as a king. We have had interaction, although brief, with Her Majesty the Queen, Masalanabo Mjaji VII, who has got very clear ideas as to what do we do with the future of traditional leadership. We constantly interact with Hosima Budu Tembe from Mhlabea Lingana, who is responsible for the Tembe Nation. We have interaction with Inkosi Cimba of Kwatimba in eThekwini, in KwaZulu-Natal, who is leading from the front, and even recently opened a developmental project which is written on the board that he is the one who opened there, not some politicians who are trying to take advantage of that particular project. We've had interactions and will continue to have interaction with Kumkani Asengana Sitau of Amakosa, Avulikaya. He has got very clear plans on what should happen to the people of the Eastern Cape, particularly in Mbashe, in Amatole district. I'm not sure if we can talk about the ones that went to Israel. We've had interaction with Queen Mother of Bapedi, Muhammadi Manyako Tularen. And even in our recent interaction, one of the princes said that she has been waiting for the leadership of Afrika Mayibuye movement to come and give guidance, and we are going to do and fulfill that particular visit. We have had interaction with the national chairperson of the Chiefs Council, Ingwenyama Makosonke II Mabena of KwaNdebele, who gave us proper guidance on all the issues that we spoke about, and also appraised us of the land claims which the KwaNdebele nation is lodging against the current government. We also have been in contact with Ingwenyama Maboko III of KwaNdebele, whom, due to limitations of time and interaction, were not able to meet, and we will meet so that we can share the notes. And of course, we have had constant interaction with Indlulamiti Yamakosi, Isilo Misizulu Kazolitini, who has got one of the most comprehensive plans on how to develop the people of KwaZulu-Natal and building relations with other nations here in South Africa and in the world. Comrades, we must, all of us, particularly the leadership of KwaZulu-Natal, Provincial Chairperson, Deputy President Cyprian Mahlaba, Secretary Mzwakempulu, we must pay detailed attention to some of the issues that ISILO is advocating for. There is a lot of sound proposals and plans that come from the Zulu royal family as to just what should be done to develop all the areas of KwaZulu-Natal. We are not mentioning all these things for electoral purposes or trying to win people to our loyalty. And we can challenge every person in South Africa, particularly the leadership of Afrika Mayibuye movement. Go and sit down with the traditional leadership and listen to their plans of what is their vision for their areas. Their visions and plans are much more comprehensive and clearer than the political representatives. You can hear the difference if you talk to a councillor or a mayor and when you talk to a traditional leader. It's therefore tragic that South Africa has neglected an important institution of traditional leadership and is only treating it as tokens. So, comrades, the character of Afrika Mayibuye movement includes recognition of the institution of traditional leadership And we are not being backward about that. We are being progressive. We are affirming the principle of Mayibuye, Africa. The other principle that, comrades, we must defend is to build a progressive developmental state. Currently, South Africa does not have a developmental state. It has got a tendering state. The role of government now is to administer tenders. The role of the current governments at all levels is to administer tenders. They issue tenders to even close a very small pothole. If there is a broken window in a municipal office, there must be a tender to replace the broken window. If they want to buy stationery for the municipality, there must be a tender to supply stationery, pens and pencils. When you can just send someone and say, down the road, they go and buy pens and pencils. They even have tenders to do the things which they are employed to do, to write letters. They said there's a consultancy company, debt collection, is to write letters that please pay the municipality. We do not have a developmental state in South Africa. We have got a tendering state, a tender administration state, a corrupt tender administration state. And I can tell you now that all the political parties that exist in South Africa, all, are instruments of self-enrichment out of tenders. All of them. So all the political parties, the ruling party from 1994, doesn't make it a secret. And these ones that are trying to posture like they are alternatives to the ANC are worse than the ANC in pursuit of tenders. And some of us can speak boldly and can illustrate to the people of South Africa that outside of the rhetoric, outside of the lies that are told, the primary purpose of all the political organizations and their leaders is to benefit from corrupt tenders. To the extent that some have got no shame in participating in tenders of bucket toilets and even have the courage to defend such. Some have got no shame in participating in tenders of security whose role is to evict people from the land and to destroy people's properties. You find that a security company, Red Ants or something like that, has got a political leader who says, no, we want to defend our people's rights to occupy the land. But on the other side, the company which they own or benefit from is destroying the people's properties. We should be and must be the only party, the only movement that does not fall into the temptation of corrupt tenders. We should run a developmental state that is based on meritocracy, that is based on people who can perform the functions that they are assigned to perform. I've made a commitment that I don't want to talk about current affairs. I was going to, if I was going to do that today, I was going to illustrate what mediocrity is by some person who, when they were talking to them were busy putting lipsticks and looking at their phone, and that person was presiding over a metropolitan municipality for a very long time. But when you listen to that person, you realize why there is a crisis in the city of Ekurhuleni. You know, there was an attempt in the past in Ekurhuleni to beautify the entrances of the major towns and cities, or the major areas. So they will decorate and then put a sign, welcome to Tembisa, welcome to Thokoza. But now if you go there, there's no longer welcome to Tembisa, it's welcome to Isa, because the other ones have fallen off. Or welcome to Koza, because there's no longer Thokoza as a fool. And in some instances, the grass grows to even hide that sign that says, welcome to David. The grass hides that. And there are councillors there. Everything else, and then that is what South Africa has been subjected to for a very, very long time. Now, the other thing, comrades, on top of building a developmental state, is to be a caring and responsive movement, which must be able to respond to the interests and aspirations of the people now. I want all of us to pay detailed attention to the following, because this is the most important feature of our movement, Afrika Mayibuye movement. We are taking a lesson from an organization called the Black People's Convention, which was established in 1972 as an umbrella body for the Black consciousness movement. Of course, South Africa's history books do not speak in details about the significance of the BPC, which was led as honorary president by Stephen Bantu Biko, and in its inaugural Congress elected Winfred Khwari as a president. So the Black People's Convention, the BPC, adopted programs called Black Community Programs. Those Black Community Programs was to say, let us do something now. Instead of waiting to overthrow apartheid, yes, we're fighting against apartheid, and we're going to overthrow it at some stage. But what do we do now for Black people? I want to take you through some of the programs that the BPC was able to implement through the Black Community Programs. That included Zanompilo Community Health Care Center, which was launched in 1975 in King Williamstown, which was a primary health care facility, an actual brick and mortar clinic built by a political party which was fighting for freedom, to say, let us attend to the interests and aspirations of the people now. There was also Solempili Community Health Project that was established in the south coast of the Natal province at that time to fulfill the similar purposes of primary health care. Under the Black community programs, there was also Isuteng Community Health Program, which was started in Tsanin, in the currently Greater Tsanin municipality in the northern province, or Northern Transvaal as it was referred at that time. There was also a trust fund that was established by Stephen Bantu Biko called Zimele Trust Fund, which was meant to support the families of political prisoners and ex-detainees with income generating projects and different schemes. There was also a manufacturing project called Dwaka Leather Work Factory and Leather Goods Production, which was opened in 1974 in King Williamstown. A political party running a proper program to even produce shoes for the people. There was also, under the black community programs, an agricultural scheme which was in Bashir River in the Transkei, which was led by the Black People's Convention. There was also a sewing group programs to produce clothes through clothing cooperatives. And those were organized and monitored by a political movement. There was also consumer cooperatives in different parts of South Africa. There was also leadership training and youth development programs, where those that are empowered say, let us go and empower other people on the ground. So a political party, a political movement like Afrika Mayibuye movement can't just be a talking instrument every time, promise after promise. There has to be programs everywhere that we implement. When we review the work of sub-regions, when we review the work of regional leadership and provincial leadership, we are going to ask you, what are you doing for the people now? Not that we have had 20 meetings. We did door to door to promise people things. We should report on what have you done now. That is the character of Afrika Mayibuye movement. And that is exactly what we are going to do ourselves at national level. When we raise enough resources, we will build our own long-lasting community health, primary health care programs in all parts of South Africa. When we raise our own resources, we'll prioritize building quality schools in areas that do not have access to quality education. When we have got access to resources, we'll prioritize building of TVET colleges, of even universities to empower our people. You have got right-wing organizations in South Africa today that are building universities. But there is not a single black organization. There is not a single black association that is saying, let us build a university. But right-wing forces who are destabilizing this country, who are at the center of undermining the sovereignty of South Africa, are building universities. Ourselves, even when we have got government, we are not doing anything. And that is what Afrika Mayibuye movement should seek to change. So, comrades, that becomes one of the clear understanding that we must have. You must think as to what do you do. Some of the interventions that you must do as part of social assistance do not need money. You must first plan as to what are the things that we can do as a sub-region, as a branch, as a region, as a province that does not need immediate money. We have already illustrated that we are existing because the former liberation movement is dying a natural death. The former liberation movement will never be resuscitated by anything. There won't be anyone who will be able to resuscitate the former liberation movement. They are dwindling into insignificance. and that will be permanent. There is nothing that is going to save the ANC, even if the one who was East and East to come were to come and intervene directly, it will never change. Their problems are getting worse. Our concern as comrades and the posture that Afrika Mayibuye movement should think about is outside of the former liberation movement. Do we have alternative political movements in South Africa? Because the ones that exist can't be allowed to get anywhere close to state power with resources. The ones that are supposed to be alternatives can't be allowed anywhere close to state resources. I speak boldly and with full knowledge because I've been very senior in both the supposed alternatives, and I've got the clearest of knowledge. I can tell you exact details of what are the real intentions of those political, so-called political parties. Their intentions is not about the people. You know, comrades, I've sat in a meeting where, as an official item on the agenda, there was a discussion on how to steal government money. And even figures were mentioned that you must steal this much, you must steal this much, you must steal this much. And I'm not saying fiction. I'm not telling you fiction. And the character of these supposed political parties, which are supposed to be alternatives, will never change. There is a crisis of individual and collective narcissism, which is not curable in both the organizations. So it will be irresponsible of Afrika Mayibuye movement to not do anything when we are faced with a crisis. It's not like the people who were led by Mobutu Sese Seko did not see that coming. They saw it from the beginning that this can lead society, but they allowed him to rise. It's not like people who were led by Idi Amin Dada, they did not see that happening. They allowed him to rise. It's not like the people who are led by Paul Biya in Cameroon did not see the problems of Paul Biya. More than 90 years old, but wants to remain as a head of state. Only comes for State of the Nation and then goes back to France full time. We are not going to allow Mobutu Sese Seko, Idi Amin Dada, or Paul Biya in South Africa. It will never happen. We are not going to legitimate nonsense that pretends to be revolutionary. And that is what all of us should worry about. The former liberation movement is dying a natural death. There is no one who will save it. Even if they were to try to save it, if you were to just pay attention to the people whom they are saying are going to possibly lead in 2029, you realize number 2, number 3, it's the same. There is no difference. if not worse. We can't allow that to happen. We can't surrender the lives of our people to corrupt individuals, to self-seeking and self-enriching political leaders. That is why we have to solidify ourselves on the ground. Now, comrades, all of us must appreciate that a political party, although being a one entity, it expresses itself in multiple manifestations. Our primary character is that we are a liberation movement, an honest liberation movement in the 21st century. And we are the only one. But when we are government, those who come into contact with Afrika Mayibuye government must be saying that Afrika Mayibuye is the best government ever that responds to the aspirations of the people. Those that come to contact with Mayibuye through the women's movement must embrace it as a champion of women's rights and women's equality. Those that come into contact through the youth movement must embrace Mayibuye as the most dependable youth organization that is fighting for youth interests. Those that come into contact to Mayibuye through students must feel it as the most dependable student movement. Our friends in the continent must say that in South Africa, in Southern Africa, the only dependable ally is Afrika Mayibuye movement, because it tells no lies, it claims no easy victories, it appreciates that we have got common destiny. Our friends in the world must say that Afrika Mayibuye movement is our true friend, that we can pursue developmental agendas and programs together. Now, comrades, any self-respecting organization must always have tools of analysis and guide to action. You need a telescope to understand society politically. It's not too commonsensical. There has to be some tools of analysis that guide all of us on how we're going to pursue our struggle. And we say in the Restoration Manifesto here of Afrika Mayibuye movement that we are driven by scientific socialism. Chris Hani, when he was asked as to what is socialism, he says that socialism is not about big concepts and heavy theory. Socialism is about decent shelter for those who are homeless. It is about water for those who have no safe drinking water. It is about health care. It is about a life of dignity for the old. It is about overcoming the huge divide between the urban and rural areas. It is about a decent education for all our people. Socialism is about rolling back the tyranny of the market. And he says that as long as the economy is dominated by an unelected, privileged few, the case for socialism will always exist. And that is why Chris Hani was killed, because he understood the mechanism and method that we should pursue. Now, we spoke briefly about the miraculous, rapid development of the People's Republic of China. The speed at which China got to develop through from the 1970s is unparalleled in history. It's unprecedented. To take more than 800 million people out of poverty, to build an economy from being the 100th most successful economy to be #1 economy in the world. And at the center of China's rapid development was a leader called Deng Xiaoping, who said that in the past, the Chinese Communist Party was not clear as to what is socialism. And then he says that the scientific socialism attaches utmost importance to the development of the productive forces. Development of productive forces means economic growth or building more industries and building more economic activity. And then he says that we have said that socialism is the primary stage of communism. And at that advanced stage, the people, the principle of each from according to his ability, to each according to his needs will prevail. And then he says that the most important thing is to develop the productive forces so that there is an overwhelming abundance of material wealth. Therefore, the fundamental task of the socialist stage is to develop the productive forces. The superiority of the socialist system is demonstrated in the final analysis by faster and greater development of those forces than will happen under a capitalist system. Now, comrades, it sounds very convoluted or difficult. It's not. I'm going to try to explain this. The countries that got to develop faster are those that were developing infrastructure and the entire economy for common benefit, rather than those who were developing for capitalists to benefit as individuals. Because if you say that your economy is going to be developed exclusively by individuals, they can take a decision for whatever reason not to put money into the development of the economy. Sometimes even for racist purposes, sometimes for sabotage purposes. But if there's a collective agreement that we must all develop, that development happens faster. That is why China, Vietnam got to realize rapid development than ever seen in the history of humanity. The good thing about these facts is that all of us have got access to technology now. We've got access to artificial intelligence tools. You can go and verify the very fact that the economies with centralized and focused planning, the economies that did not prioritize private wealth accumulation, are the ones that grew faster than the capitalist economies in the past 50 years. And it's based, you do not need a PhD to understand that. It's as basic as that, and all of us can verify that. So logically, all of us should associate. And we say in the Restoration Manifesto that our adoption or association with scientific socialism must take into consideration the circumstances and characteristics that define South Africa. That one is that South Africa has got a large population of the religious community. And in many instances, people have been misled by apartheid propaganda and by the establishment propaganda that associating with scientific socialism means that you are against God, you are against religion. There is a quote which is misunderstood, which in full reads as follows, that religion is the sigh of the oppressed, the heart of the heartless world, the soul of the soulless condition. It is the opium of the people. All people who want to mischaracterize and capitulate this code, they just reduce it that religion is the opium of the masses. But there was recognition from these prime scientific socialists that it is the sigh of the oppressed. It is the heart of the heartless world. It is the soul of the soulless condition. Now, comrades, here in Mayibuye, we are not against religious institution. We are not against any church. If anything, we belong to the churches. We belong to different religious institutions. You can be and must be a member of Mayibuye and still be a member of the Zion Christian Church. You can be and must be a member of Mayibuye and still be a member of the Nazareth Baptist Church in Ginyezezwe and Tembelihle, Ekpagameni Eplane. You can be a member of Mayibuye and still be a member of the St. John Apostolic Faith Mission and be a member of the Roman Catholic Church of South Africa, the Anglican Church, Methodist Church, Evangelical Lutheran Church. You can be a member of Mayibuye and still be a full member of the International Pentecostal Holiness Church. You can be a member of Mayibuye and still be full time and participate in the activities of the Jesus Nation Church, of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, of the Shekinah Healing Ministries of Apostle Muhlal. You can be a member of Mayibuye and still be the Archbishop of the Rivers of Living Water, like our Chaplain General is. So there is no condition, none whatsoever, that it's either church or Mayibuye who are same. If anything, religion plays an important role in terms of raising some levels of conscience. Ripalo. Because some of the things that these people do, you realize that they've got no association, none whatsoever, with any God. The ruthlessness through which they steal, the manner in which, when people are about to expose them, they just easily hire someone, go and kill that one so that they don't expose me, kill. With necessary conscience, God conscious, you can't involve yourselves in such. If anything, Mayibuye is safer with leaders who have got conscience that is also informed by some degree of association with religious institutions. 90% of the people of South Africa, if not 96%, belong to one or another form of religion. So if we are against, if we were to become against religion, who are we representing? If you are against religion, if you are against the church, who are you representing? Because 90% of the people of South Africa are religious. They believe in God. There might be different mechanisms of how they pray. There might be different modalities of when they go to church. And if you want to lead, and then you say, no, we are leading ourselves. That is why it will not make any sense for the leadership structures and membership of Mayibuye in the province of Limpopo to not have members of the Zion Christian Church, which is the largest in the province. It will not make sense for the leadership in KwaZulu-Natal to have representatives from and leadership from the Nazareth Baptist Church, it's known as Shambe Church. At least we have in the NCT Bishop Ngulunga, who is from the Nazareth Baptist Church, as part of the leadership collective. And that should be the character of our movement on the ground. When you are a sub-regional leader, in any parts of South Africa, if you are leading Mafikeng, yes, you will know that the number of wards is 34 or 36. But when we ask you how many churches are there, you must know all of them. And how many traditional leaders are there, you must know all of them as well. And who are they presiding over? Because we will not be able to liberate this country if we do not know our people. And where are our people? Our people are organized in religious institutions. The biggest form of organization in South Africa is religious institutions. It's not political parties. All political parties combined, as things stand, do not have 5 million members in South Africa. All of them. If you were to go and check the membership, including those that are in government. But in South Africa, you have got religious institutions, one which has got more than 5 million members. But all political parties. And what is tragic, comrades, is that it's not like the religious leaders do not have views about the future of this country. They do. We were explaining in the press conference on Wednesday that in our recent past participation in the National Day of Prayer, all the religious leaders, including His Grace Bishop Bill Khanyan of the ZCC, they spoke about the crisis of water. They spoke about the challenges of corruption. They spoke about challenges of jobs in South Africa. But no one listens to them. No one listens. Where representatives of majority of South Africans say, you are busy with palace politics there. There were more than 20 speakers there, if not 30. There is no one who said Ket Matlala there. No one. But politicians now, every time they open their mouth, Ket Matlala, every day. So the country discusses Ket Matlala, the whole country, and the 3 major television stations, live, all of them broadcasting Ket Matlala. When our people are waterless, when our people are homeless, when our people are sleeping under bridges, when our people are losing their jobs, when our people are dying of hunger, the good thing is that you can go and listen to all the representatives of constituencies here in South Africa. The IPHC, the Bantu Church in Christ, all the leaders. They all spoke about issues that affect the people because they are in constant contact with the people every day. When our people lose their jobs, the first place they report to is the pastor. To say, I've lost my job, I don't know what to do now. Because there is no political leadership that is there to save them with anything. The political leadership is discussing Ket Matlala. And content creators in parliament like this, they feel very powerful that no. And that becomes a national issue. The whole country must stop because of Ketimatlan. When we've got a lot of things that we have to deal with. We are correct as Afrika Mayibuye movement that all the existing political parties in South Africa do not represent the people of South Africa, they represent themselves as individuals. And that is why we have to fill that vacuum as a movement. That is why we say, let us declare a national state of disaster on the water shortages. Let us say that within the next 12 months, there must not be a village, there must not be a township, there must not be an area in South Africa without running water. That is why we say as Mayibuye that let us have a commission of inquiry on poverty of our people and solutions of our people. And broadcast that and have solutions. And learn from the best experiences all over the world as to how to defeat poverty. But now, all that doesn't matter because our focus is KT Mulife. And of course, those who are involved in wrongdoing must be held accountable. There has to be action on all of those people, but the country can't collapse everything to focus on just criminal elements. And then we stop everything. There is no water plan in South Africa as to how are we going to give clean and running water in all the areas that are waterless, in Jozini, in parts of Zululand, in parts of Rustenburg, in many parts of eThekwini, where there is no water and people are benefiting from the water tankers. When are we sitting down to talk about water? All of us and say, let's resolve water. And then when we're done with water, we say, now let's go to healthcare facilities and have clinics everywhere. When we're done, let us remove these pit toilets in schools. Systematically like that will resolve our problems. But now we're all over, there is crisis everywhere. There's not been anything that has been resolved by the post-1994 government. Comrades, all of us must be guided by firm principles. The principle of Ubuntu, of honesty and respect, of always providing superior alternatives, of respecting religious and royal leadership, of anti-imperialism, of Pan-Africanism. And we must never make a mistake of becoming a regional organization. We must never become a regional organization. We must not become a tribal organization. Even in silent talks, there must never be characterization of our movement as a tribal or ethnic organizations. There are ethnic and tribal organizations in South Africa which are in parliament. We must not be that. We must exist in all corners of South Africa. In the Eastern Cape, we must have strong presence in Buffalo City to liberate the people of King Williamstown, of Duncan Village, of Mdantsane. We must be in all corners of Nelson Mandela to liberate the people of Uitenhage, of Motherwell, and all the people that are excluded and super exploited. We must be in all the municipalities of Alfred Nzo, in Matatiele, in Umzimvumbu, in Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Mbizana is possibly one of the poorest areas in South Africa. In Tabankulu is 100% rural. There is no sign that there is government in Tabankulu. We need to pay attention to the area that Avulikaya is looking after in Amatole, in Mbashe, in Great Kai, in Amatlat, in Mnguma, in Ngusha, where the chairperson of the province of Mayibuye comes from, in Raymond Mhlaba. We must pay attention to all the areas of Chris Hani, in Emalahleni, in Inokum Gijima, in Insika Yetu, in Nguba Etemba, in Kredok. Kredok deserves better attention because the people of Kredok fought against apartheid, represented by the Kredok 4 under the leadership of Matthew Goniwe. We should be at the forefront of representing the people of Saki Sizwe of Ngobo. We must be in all the areas of Jokabi region, starting here in Walter Sisulu municipality, in Alwal North, in Sen, in Elundin, in Maclear. Our movement must be in all the localities of OR Tambo district where the Secretary General comes from, in Nyandeni, in Mkumkani Mtontlo municipality, in KSD, in Nguzahil, in Ponds and Joins. We should be able to know what is the consistent cause of high levels of murder in Flagstaff and Lusikisiki. We must be in all the rural and neglected and ignored municipalities of Sarah Bartman, in Dr. Bears not there, in small municipality of Blue Crane, of Kokamar, of Makana, Dlambe, Sanders River Valley. Dlambe has got lots of potential with one of the most beautiful cities of Port Alfred. If we can have a responsible government in Dlambe, we can be able to maximize the economic benefits for all the people of Dlambe. We should be present in all the municipalities of the Free State, of course, starting in the metropolitan municipalities, which has surrendered its metropolitan status. A city without even a taxi rank. Bloemfontein. A city that has got a crisis of basic services has been neglected by those that have been in power. We should rise to the occasion and save the people of Mangaung. We should be in all the municipalities of Feziletabi, in Mafube, in Mokaga, in Wate, in Mafube, in Metsimaulu. Metsimaulu has got lots of potential. We just have to pay attention. And the progressive forces in Metsimaulu must combine forces with Afrika Mayibuye movement to wage a common national war, not a localized war. There is no necessity, none whatsoever, of the comrades who share the same views with us in Metsimaulu to want to constitute a civic organization to want to contest in Metsimaulu only. Let's combine forces. We know your capacity. Let's combine forces and rescue that municipality of Metsimaulu from those that have been misgoverning it now. In Lutweleputa, where the chairperson of Free State comes from, we should pay attention to Masilonyana, to Nala, to Tuhulugo, to Tsolopele. There is super exploitation of farm workers in all those small municipalities. And of course, we must pay attention to one of the most corrupted municipalities of Matabeng. In Mofutanyana, we should pay attention to Dihlabeng, to Mantsupa, to Nketwana, Pumelela, Sitsoto, and Ficksburg. And of course, we must pay attention to Maluta Pofung. There's a lot of work that we need to do as Afrika Mayibuye movement. The 3 municipalities in Karib are neglected because the entire district of Karib is neglected in Kopanong, in Litsameng, and Mohokare. Here in Gauteng, there is no government in all the metropolitan municipalities. We have to rescue the people of Ekurhuleni. We have to rescue the people of Ekurhuleni in all the areas. Ekurhuleni has got a lot of strategic potential. We must remove the bucket toilets in Ekurhuleni. And we must persuade one of the institutions of higher learning to build a campus in the city of Ekurhuleni. It is the only city of the metros that does not have a large institution of higher learning in South Africa. And it doesn't make sense. There must be comprehensive social housing programs in the city of Ekurhuleni that will respond to the needs of our people. We must save Johannesburg in honor of the heroes and heroines of here in the southwestern townships. I'm sure and I'm convinced that the leadership that we have of Johannesburg will do everything in their power to place ourselves much more firmly in all the areas from Orange Farm, Lowly, Elias Mtswaledi, Kliptown, everywhere. Deep Sloot, Alexander, Ivory Park. We must be present in all the areas of Johannesburg. We must be the voice that brings about true freedom. In Tshwane, we must save Tshwane from the confusion that is taking place and save the people of Haranku, of Soshangu, of Mamelodi, of Hammanskraal, of Atteridgeville. There is no government, Bishop Jones, in Sedibeng district, in all the municipalities. The leadership of Mfuleni Archbishop must come from Afrika Mayibuye movement. From 2026 onward, the mayor and government of Mfuleni must be from Mayibuye. We should save, Lisedi, we must save all the municipalities so that we are able to affirm clear principle, including Midvaal. In the West Rand, let us do everything in our power to save the people of Mirafong, of Mogale City, of Rand West, and all the areas, so that we establish ourselves firmly. KwaZulu-Natal has been crying for alternate leadership. In the province of KwaZulu-Natal, there is huge potential for Afrika Mayibuye movement to play a significant role in all the districts. From Amajuba, we can play a leading role if we were to organize ourselves better. Newcastle has been dysfunctional for a very long time. There is no stable municipality in Den Hausa and in Matlangeni. We have to save the people of Irigwala district, in Greater Kokstad, in Buhlebezwe, and Mzumkulu. We must save the people of Ilembe district in KwaDukuza. If KwaDukuza is properly managed, it can maximally attract investments to make it a secondary, much more modern city than the cities that are in eThekwini. We have to pay attention to the rural municipality of Mandeni, where we can direct a lot of investment potential. Same we should do in Mapumula and Ndwendwe. In King Tatayo, we should pay attention to Mtonjane. Bishop Ngulunga is from Tanzania. We are from Follows, yes. And we must pay attention to Nkandla, which has been under the misgovernance of the IFP for a very long time. And of course, we must pay attention to Mfolozi, to Mhlatuze. There is a lot of economic potential that can be achieved from all the port activities that take place in Mhlatuze. In Ugu, must pay attention to the degenerating municipality of Reinkonyen in Port Shepstone. Must pay attention to Umdoni. Umuzwabantu, Umzumbe. Umzumbe is where the township of Metro Mnyama is at. We must pay attention to the dysfunctional districts and municipalities of Mgungundu. Msunduzi municipality has been dysfunctional for many years. We must rescue the people of Msunduzi, of Mkambatini, of Mpendle, of all the areas. Nutukela, we must save the people of Nkoslang Albalele, of Alfred Duma municipalities. We must save the people of Zululand from the undue dominance of the IFP. Abakulusi is where the fundraiser general comes from. We should save the people of Abakulusi, where the municipality just decided to switch off electricity of people with no clear reason. We must save the people of Edumbe, Nongoma, Ulundi, and Upongolo, where the Emashoben Royal Palace of Isilo is located at. In the province of Limpopo, we need to save the people of Capricorn. You know, if you go to Blowback, you will not believe that there is government. It's neglected. In Mole, in Bulukwane is degenerating every day. We should have solid presence in all the municipalities of Mopani, Bapalabura, and Greater Litaba, Greater Tanin, Maruleng, and Guyane, which are neglected. And we have cautioned that the leadership of Mopani must stop narrow factionalism. We do not associate with factionalism. There will never be any successful factional project or program in Mayibuye. Most of us comrades, we have led together in SASCO, where I served in the National Executive Committee, in the ANC Youth League, and I served in the National Executive Committee for 5 years. In the EFF, where I was a deputy president for 10 years. In MK, where I was a secretary general for 10 months. There is none of you who can say that they've been in a factional meeting with me. I don't do factionalism. I don't participate in factional activities. And I'm extremely despiteful of factionalism. And I can hear when a person is speaking that this is a factionalist. And because for these formative stages, We are presiding over this organization. If you get involved in factionalism, we are going to isolate you and remove you from the leadership. From the beginning of the consultation process, even before we're even a month into consultation, there were people who were beginning to show some levels of factionalisms. And they now go around saying they founded the organization. Let's see which organization they founded. Because we act decisively, that be rest assured that without fail, we will act very decisively against factionalism. And you will think we do not notice and we are not paying attention. Where even comrades go on Facebook to post factional statements and all sorts of things about our organization at this early stage. We have to just send a strong warning that we will not allow factionalism in any of our regions, because I get to hear about the problems of Mopani from the traditional leadership which had collectively agreed to join Mayibuye. And then they said, these people already are divided. How do you welcome people when already are showing to traditional leadership that you are divided? We must nip in the bud the demon of factionalism. We should consolidate provincial chair of Limpopo, all the municipalities in Skukuna of Elas Mtswaledi, of Fetahomo Tubats. We should also lead the programs that force all the municipalities and all the mining companies in Ephraim Ukhal, wherever there is mining activities, there has to be programs in Skokone to force that the mines must benefit our people now. In Vembe, we must consolidate the ground. I don't understand why when we go to elections next year, there must still be a municipality in Vembe that still is run by the current party. In Collins Chabane, they were given a municipality in 2016. It's 2026 next year. The municipality is still not established. They were given an establishment grant, but the municipality doesn't have offices. When there's council meeting, they meet in a boxing ring, like boxing hall. And then when they want to have planning meetings, they hire a venue to have strategic planning in a different municipality. And the people of Collins Chabani must continue to vote for such. It must come to an end. Let's consolidate all the forces on the ground, those to remove the incompetent people. And worse, they are given a new municipality, and within the first 5 years, the first mayor is assassinated, possibly by people who are leading there now. Killed. We need to replace the ANC in all the municipalities of Bembe and Musina and Makado. The provincial secretary comes from Makado. We must push to rescue our people. In Waterberg, we must rescue the people of Belabela, of Palale, of Mudumulo Mukhopong, of Tawazimbi. Our struggles in Tawazimbi must also focus on the mines there. In Mpumalanga, we should rescue the people of Mpumalanga from the mediocrity that is taking place in that province. It doesn't make sense why there is still an ANC government in Bushbuck Ridge, TG and provincial chair of Mpumalanga, both from Bushbuck Ridge. It doesn't make sense. Our failure to remove, if we don't remove the ANC, then we must look at ourselves and say maybe there's something wrong. Same in Mashishing, in Tawachew. We should uproot the ANC's incompetence. The deputy chair, the national deputy chair, has given us an assurance that come 2026, from 2026 onward, Nkoma Zimu municipality will be under the leadership of Afrika Mayibuye movement. And same should be with Mbombela. In all the districts of the Northern Cape, in Francis Bart, in John Taule, Haiti, where the national chair is from Has-Honyan, we should consolidate the ground and save the people of JTG. In Namakwa, we must have presence everywhere. In Pixley, in ZF Mkau. In the Northwest Province, the Deputy President, first Deputy President, Tato Mahohodi, is from Ngakamudiri Mulema. Let's consolidate, including the provincial chairperson, is from Ramutere Moila. We should save the people of Northwest from mediocrity, because the perpetual dissolution of Ditsobotla and other municipalities will not help. We should save the people of Dr. RSM, of Dr. KK, of Bojanala. The provincial treasurer has promised to deliver Rustenburg because he comes from Rustenburg and is running one of the most successful businesses in Rustenburg. Let's deliver Rustenburg. Rustenburg is thirsty for change. We should lead our programs. Same in the Western Cape. We should save the people of Cape Metro from the mediocrity of the DA, which is clothed in propaganda of the DA governs better. We should be present in all the municipalities of Cape Winelands, in Brede Valley, in Drakenstein, in Langeberg, in Wittenberg, in Stellenbosch. The people of Kayamnandi must, all of them, be mobilized behind Afrika Mayibuye movement. The Central Karoo is the smallest district in South Africa. But our provincial deputy chair, Comrade Truman Prince, comes from Central Karoo. He used to be a mayor there. Let's be at the forefront to take power in Beaufort West and Laingsburg and Prince Albert municipalities. Already the people are familiar with the leadership of Mayibuye. We saw the engagements that took place there. In Overberg, let's pay attention, DSG, second DSG, Nosipho Makamba, in Cape Agalas, in Overstrand, in Solendam, and T. Waterskloof, where Krabo is. In the West Coast, we must pay attention to Bergrivier, to Saldanha Bay, to Matsikama, to Saldanha Bay, and Swartland local municipalities. There's a lot of areas where our people stay, even in Swartland. And the advantage, comrades, and without trying to portray a different picture, 99% of the areas that I spoke to and spoke about, I've been there and done political work there. So I know what happens in T. Waterskloof. I've been to Krabo, I've been to the informal settlements. I know Swartland, Bergrivier, Ciderberg, all of those areas. And I know that there is potential for Mayibuye to gain traction there. I've gone to do political work in Blue Crane, in Kokama, in Kocha, in Bears Not There, in Sanders River Valley in Ado, and was able to achieve, and none of the people that I led with have ever been there. So when we say what we know what we're doing, we're not bluffing. We're not bluffing when we say we know the task ahead, because we are not scared of going to the ground. We are not scared to go and speak to our people. And that is what all of us should concentrate on. And in the course of our struggle, comrades, we should know that we should build strategic international relations and friendships with the people of Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger, with all progressive African countries. We must pursue a relationship with the People's Republic of China. We have already had some engagement with the Chinese embassy here in South Africa, and we are scheduled to meet. That time they were busy preparing for G20, ourselves preparing for the National Convention. We will pursue those relationships. We must pursue relationship with the Russian Federation, with Cuba, with the United Arab Emirates. I don't know, Kosim Timkul, we must talk about that. We don't have to. We must pursue strategic relationship with and support the people of Palestine, of Western Sahara, of Belarus, of Indonesia. Now, I'm going to conclusion, but let's take note of what is to be done. The immediate task is that all of us, when we live here, we must go and launch the VD-based branches and be present in all the VDs. And thereafter launch the word-based branches. And let's mobilize and organize our people behind the struggle for total freedom and emancipation now. And let's prepare to govern in all the municipalities from 2026 onwards. We are not contesting elections for the sake of presence. We are contesting to win so that we can rescue our people. Let's prepare a ready-to-govern framework, because from 2029 onwards, Afrika Mayibuye movement will be government of South Africa. And the sooner everyone else accepts that, the better. The reason they are always talking bad and saying all sorts of things in social media is because they know our potential. They know our power. They know that we are coming. They know that we are going to take over this country. The reason why they speak bad about us is because they know that we are a force to be reckoned with. We are not a Mickey Mouse organization. Where have you seen an organization which in less than 6 months convenes a national conference from all the 53 districts and a 3-day conference with clear agenda, with a clear vision of where we're going? Let's prepare for the future. Let's prepare for governance. Let's prepare to take over and rescue the people of South Africa from the mediocrity. Let's prepare to take over this country. Let us fight for total freedom and emancipation now. Amanda! Amanda! Woza 2029 Woza! Woza 2026 Woza! Say tata South Africa, say tata! I take her South Africa, I take her! I take her South Africa, I take her! Raichia South Africa, Raichia! Raichia South Africa, Raichia! Amanda! Away! 2! Thank you very much.
CIA Siyaya, siyaya bo. Siyaya, siyaya. Siyaya, siyaya bo. Siyaya, siyaya. Noma besitubula, besishaya, besibopha. Siyaya, siyaya bo. Siyaya, siyaya. Siyaya, siyaya bo. Siyaya, siyaya. Noma besitubula, besishaya, besibopha. Noma besitubula, besishaya, besibopha. Amandla, amandla.
Mayibuye. Afrika. Mayibuye. Afrika. Thank you very much, Comrade President, for giving us a clear direction as to where we are heading to from here. We are not an organization of amateurs. We are an organization which is preparing to govern. Our people have waited enough for quality services in all municipalities across South Africa. And as a collective, in this auditorium, we have heard you. And we are going to deliver to the people of South Africa come 2026. Comrades, we have arrived at a time where we need to take a break. Food is ready. But I'm going to first request that we allow the Council of Elders to proceed to the media room upstairs, followed by the national officials and the national court team. And then, out of discipline, let us all remain seated so that the Council of Elders vacates first, and then we shall follow. Let us be back here at 4:30, so that we are punctual and proceed on time with the business of second day of this national convention. Thank you very much. Comrades, let us not vacate the hall first to avoid what happened last night. The caterers are busy setting up the serving points. So we can sing for the next 5 minutes, and then I will indicate when we should be going out to queue for our food. Comrades, the following vehicles are blocking us from setting up the food stations. BS 27KV ZN, BS 27KV ZN, and then FGD 465 Limpopo, FGD 465 Limpopo. Comrades, let us be orderly. We will announce when we have to leave so that we go and have lunch. Let these two vehicles be moved, please.